Welcome back. I'm Lynda Kinkade. Israel is carrying out fierce strikes on Gaza City ahead of a threatened plan to take it over and relocate its 1 million people into camps in southern Gaza. Israel's military says the IDF chief of staff approved the plan's main concept today. It could bring Israel closer to fully occupying Gaza for the first time in years. Gaza City residents are reporting heavy bombing of eastern neighborhoods. Health officials say 123 Palestinians have been killed over the past 24 hours, with 8 people dying from starvation and malnutrition, including 3 children. Israel is facing increasing pressure to end the war from countries lining up to recognize a Palestinian state. New Zealand is considering the move as its prime minister accuses Israel of ignoring the world's demands.
What's happening in Gaza is utterly appalling. I think Netanyahu has gone way too far. I think he has lost the plot, and I think that what we're seeing overnight with the attack on Gaza City is utterly unacceptable, and that's what we have been calling for as an international community now for a long period of time. He is not listening to the international community, and that is unacceptable.
Well, Hamas delegation is in Cairo to discuss the stalled ceasefire negotiations. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has vowed to militarily defeat Hamas and says he will not agree to any more partial deals. In an interview with Israeli channel I-24 News, he also stressed an idea backed by US President Trump that Palestinians should, quote, leave Gaza.
I think that the right thing to do, even according to the laws of war as I know them, is to allow the population to leave, and then you go with all your might against the enemy who remains there.
The Associated Press reports that Israel is in talks with South Sudan, one of the world's most unstable and conflict-ridden countries, about the possibility of resettling Palestinians there. The report says 6 people have confirmed the talks, but South Sudan denies its government is discussing that issue, saying the claims are baseless and do not reflect its official policy. An Israeli delegation is in South Sudan today, headed by the Deputy Foreign Minister, Sharon Haskell. Her office says she did not plan to broach the subject of moving Palestinians. Well, our next guest says there is no force on earth that can eliminate the Palestinian people. Riyad Mansour is the Palestinian Ambassador to the United Nations. He joins us from New York. Good to have you with us, Ambassador.
Thank you for having me.
Ambassador, you've described Israel's actions as a genocidal regime and reaffirmed that there is no force on earth that can eliminate the Palestinian people. Can you tell us how you see this current war shaping the future of the Palestinians?
What the international community is saying and what the Palestinian people are saying, that this genocide has to stop. Netanyahu and his extremist government and their armed forces, supported by settlers who are attacking the Palestinian people in the West Bank, have been trying, to accomplish their objectives, which we don't know exactly what the objectives are. They keep changing the target, but they've been doing that for 22 months, and yet they are unleashing now, or trying to unleash, hundreds of thousands of soldiers to accomplish something that they declared long time ago that was the objective. And when they entered Rafah, that they accomplished that objective almost 15 months ago. So we don't know exactly what Prime Minister Netanyahu is talking about, other than the continuation of killing Palestinians, children and women, starving them to death, and continuing to commit these crimes against our people. And the international community is determined to stop him and to have ceasefire now, to implement Resolution 2735, which talks about 3 stages of the ceasefire, and to allow for humanitarian assistance to reach all corners of the Gaza Strip to scale, and to begin the process of giving the people hope through peace, through the implementation of the global consensus on the 2-state solution, as was demonstrated by that historic conference that took place in the General Assembly the end of July 28th through 30th, and a historic declaration was adopted along with an annex that this war has to stop immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then to begin the process of having the two-state solution as a reality on the ground.
Ambassador, I want to get your reaction to Netanyahu's comments, calling this mission in Gaza historical and spiritual, suggesting that Palestinians should just leave the area before this military operation. He also said that Palestinians will be allowed, he framed it as voluntary migration, that Palestinians will be able to leave Gaza. How do you respond to that sort of discussion, that proposal, and what does it indicate about Israel's broader strategy in Gaza?
He is living in a bubble. He is completely divorced from reality. When the ceasefire took place sometime recently, about 1 million Palestinians returned from the south to the north, walking on their feet in a span of 2 hours and 2 days, each day 2 hours. Hundreds of thousands of them returned to the areas where they were born, where they lived, knowing that they will be going to destruction, but there is no home for them except that home that they love, and then they are attached to it. And they started the process of trying to clean around the destroyed homes where they lived before the beginning of this insanity and this war unleashed against them by Netanyahu. So instead of him learning the lesson that those Palestinian people are so resilient and rooted in that land and they want to stay in that country, he is making their life extra hell by unleashing a criminal, inhumane, illegal, depriving them of having food and water and medicine, thinking they will be so fed up with the situation to leave, but he is dreaming they will not leave. He has to stop this genocide, and we should allow the door for peace to be open in order to allow the Palestinian people and the Israelis to live in two states. The Israeli state exists. The other state need to be independent after the end of this illegal occupation, and to
Ambassador,
have two states living side in
I,
peace and security.
I do want to ask you about that because more and more countries are calling for a Palestinian statehood. At this point in time of the war, do you see that as largely symbolic, or is there potential for tangible progress towards Palestinian independence at this point in time?
For those who say it's symbolic, was the partition plan in 1947 when the General Assembly adopted Resolution 181. Was it symbolic for Israel, or was it the birth certificate for the state of Israel? It is not symbolic. When you have almost 160 countries, including Australia, UK, France, Canada, and many others, to take that step as an investment in peace and as an investment in saving the two-state solution, it is not symbolic. It is the real thing. And Israel has to grasp the moment and to yield to this will of the international community, which is much more powerful than in 1947 when England finished its mandate against, in Palestine, and the United Nations decided to partition Palestine to two states. The moment now is much more powerful than the moment then that led and helped Israel to be created. The moment is now for our state to be independent after the end of this illegal occupation and to complete what was advocated in the partition plan of 1947 through the United Nations then and through the international community now.
So just quickly, what concrete action, Ambassador, would you like to see to move from, a symbolic recognition to the support of a viable Palestinian state?
Well, many of these steps are being taken. Take, for example, what Germany declared recently, saying that they will not send weapons that Israel can use to kill Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Other countries, such as Colombia, severed the diplomatic relationship with Israel, and they also said that they will not send coal to Israel. And also other countries are saying, a number of them, that they will not allow ships carrying weapons to Israel to pass through their ports, sending weapons to Israel. Norway, they have a huge fund that invests heavily in the Israeli economy, and they decided to terminate significant portion of that. I'm just giving you examples of what the world is now ready to do in concrete way, in addition to the recognition of the state of Palestine. Because when countries like France, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and many others to take that step of recognizing the state of Palestine, it means they are opening the door for the acceptance of the state of Palestine to be a member at the United Nations, meaning the door of the two-state solution is going to be open for no return. And the end result would be the end of this occupation to allow for the independence of the state of Palestine, and therefore to have the two-state solution,
Ambassador Riyad.
two-state solution a reality.
Ambassador Riyad, Mansour, appreciate your perspective and your time today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, still to come tonight, a glacial outburst in Alaska leads to a dangerous new record. We'll have a live report with the latest on the conditions next.